Hey folks, Deano here again. This time taking a look at another Xmen 97 figure from Hasbro's Marvel Legends line. This is Jean Grey, the second best telepath in the Marvel Universe, but somehow still manages to be quite useless in battle. That's like a running gag with her. But yeah, this is her with her updated outfit from the Xmen 97 cartoon. Slight differences from the original. She used to have like a blue section going down her midriff. We'll not say any more about that. But yeah, it's been thinned right down, and in my opinion, it honestly looks a bit better. The figure, on the other hand, is not as much of an improvement. Let's be honest. But yeah, let's get her off the stand and take a look at her box. So her box is pretty much the same as all the other Xmen 97 figures. It's this classic cardback design. Only real difference is the name and the character that's on the side. This one is showing her with the hair down. She does come with an alternate headpiece with hair down and two sets of hands. That's literally your whack. The fact that Hasbro are charging full price for these figures when they barely come with anything at all. Like, she could have came with a swirly thing to put on her hand to make it look as if she's at least doing her telepathic powers. But no, bare minimum. At least the figure is new, I suppose. Look on the back, you get everything from Wave 2. You get Magneto in the outfit I really don't like. We've got Cyclops, which I've looked at before. Jean Grey, Nightcrawler. His review will either be before or after this, depending on what one goes up first. The Executioner and Goblin Queen. I love how Hasbro have tried to hide the fact that that's Madelyne Pryor, when anyone who actually knows like X-Men lore knows exactly who that is, even from the name. So yeah, let's get rid of the box and take a look at her accessories. So, like I said, in terms of accessories, she doesn't come with a whole lot. We get the alternate headpiece, which, spoilers for those who haven't watched the show yet, but this is indeed Madelyne Pryor's version. In fact, they basically made it so that when she started wearing her hair down in the original show, that's when she was swapped with Madelyne Pryor. The producer of the show confirmed that. So yeah, basically, unless you want this to be Madelyne Pryor, there's no point in putting this head on. It's complete waste, in my opinion anyway. I also really dislike the fact that this one has a sort of almost smile to it, whereas the standard head is a frown. Like, I would have loved this head with this hairstyle. So yeah, bit annoying that, to be honest. And the only other thing she comes with, apart from the hands that's on her in the package, are two splayed open hands, which are very soft and rubbery. I don't know whether that's a good thing or not, but the hinges work fine and all the rest of it. And she does have one fist in the package and one hand that's stuck. There we go. And one hand specifically for touching her forehead when she uses her powers. There we go. Just like that. It's easy enough. But yeah, all in all, bit of a disappointing release, at least accessory-wise. but then that's the same with all of the X-Men 97 figures so far, except Cyclops, bizarrely, who came with, what is it, the only effect piece in the entire line? Like, giving love to the Boy Scout, okay. But yeah, in terms of the figure itself, it's a really good sculpt. I do really like it. I have never personally been a fan of this outfit design from the 90s. I much preferred her Phoenix look, the green and gold, or the green and yellow, depending on like the source material. So yeah, unfortunately there isn't a decent, good Phoenix available. There is an old one from, I think, a good few years back, but it's from before they did the face print tech. So the faces look horrendous and oversized. And yeah, those are from the dark days of Hasbro. So yeah, let's take a look at the figure herself, shall we? Before I keep rambling on, as per always. So it's a newer style body, but for whatever reason they opted to not give her a articulation. Like I don't know why. That sort of limits her. I mean, the waist gets a decent enough crunch, but the chest articulation does more than that. You can swivel it and things like that, and it looks more natural than moving it at the waist. I have no idea why they did that, but it happened. Need to deal with it, I suppose. The proportions are good, compared to some of them where their arms look really lanky. She actually looks pretty decent. Her head, however, is also limited. It's the new style, like, ball joint system that they're using, but Hasbro being Hasbro, they don't know how to do it properly. There's too much plastic inside here, basically. So yeah, best way to get more articulation out of that is to cut a sort of rectangle piece inside at the front and back, and that will give the ball joint more range of motion. You don't want to cut round the entire thing, because then the ball joint itself becomes loose. So yeah, as it stands, it is a bit limited. I also notice at the top of her head, you can actually see where her visor thing ends, but for whatever reason they have forgot to paint it skin tone. Once you notice that, you can't unsee it, really. Apart from that, the belt is decent enough. There's a bit of paint bleed on mine, unfortunately. Most of the rest of the figure is a blue and orange plastic. Like, even the middle section is two pieces put together, I notice, which is new. Didn't realise they bothered with that. But yeah, those are two separate pieces, which probably explains the lack of articulation. They wanted to get clean cuts on the blue without having to use blue paint. Yeah, that sucks a little bit. That really does. Her arms, I think this is basically one of the only places that's painted. There's the blue patch on her biceps, but yeah, I think that's about it, apart from the head. The hands, a lot of people have been complaining about the blue peg, which is there because, well, the hands are painted as well, I suppose, but the actual hinge is hidden with a sort of glove piece. This bit doesn't really bother me, because I just pretend that it's part of the sort of glove thing, and just move on with my life. But yeah, it's a decent enough sculpt. I literally only have this figure to fill the Jean Grey spot in my display. If and when they do another Phoenix, she will be getting replaced, let's be honest. But yeah, let's take a look at Articulation, shall we? So, that's one issue that everyone keeps saying. The ponytail is movable. That is an articulation piece. But as you move it, it slowly pops out of the joint until like it pops out completely. You can have her in a sort of short hair pose, I suppose. Was she ever shown like that? I don't know. I'm not sure. So she can look up that far without any modifications. She can't really look down any, unfortunately. A bit of pivot side to side, swivel, and yeah, that's about your whack. Arms can go up that far. Can they go up any further? Can we push it? No, we can't. That's about it. It can go up that far. They do swivel. Her shoulder pads are a separate piece. They're using the Star Wars method, where the actual shoulder is a floating piece that's connected inside the body. That's a really good one. Bicep swivel. She does have double jointed elbows, which is really good. That gets almost full range. Arms are on a hinge and swivel. Standard stuff. No ab articulation, as I said. The waist can go back quite far though, so at least they have actually thought about that. Can go forward a little bit. I think a bit of modification would be needed there to make her bend forward, but she's a telepath. She usually just stands there looking pretty. Swivel at the waist. Legs can go up that far. Can't go back any because of her rear end. That's sculpted. It's actually really restricted here for some reason. You can't really put her into a hero pose because her legs are stuck being straight down. You need to sort of futz it at the waist. She does have thigh rotation, which seems to be on like a sort of mini ratchet sort of thing. She can just barely misses the splits. Decent enough. A double joint at the knees. Again, gets almost full range, which is decent enough. Bit of scuffing on the inside there, I've just noticed. No boot cut. Her feet can go back that far. Forward a little bit. And they can do that, but again, it's in a sort of weird, almost ratchet-like system. So you can't really get freedom of movement like you would hope. But yeah, all in all, it's a decent figure. Like, the face alone propels this like into the best version of this figure we've had. Unfortunately, it is missing like the ab articulation, which really brings it down a bit, but it still looks better than previous versions of this figure that we got, at least in my opinion. Do the hands come off easy enough? Oh my god, nope. There we go. Whew. That was a bit tricky. Did they go back in easy enough? Yeah, there we go. That's decent enough. So yeah, all in all, if you're needing a Jean Grey on your display, I would say this is probably your best bet. Like, you can go for the older ones, but be prepared to have like much inferior faces compared to that one. So yeah, all in all, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see y'all later.